The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 128 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Wednesday, October 2nd, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I'm joining, as always, by my co-host, James Cush.
We have to
James?
change that up a little bit, don't we?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, because you're joining me,
Yeah.
but I'm joining you as the co-host. I don't know how that works.
At least for this week, and then
Yeah,
who knows?
This might be one of our last weeks at the Cush House.
Might be.
I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see. Things are happening.
Yeah.
Things are happening in Eric's world. He's busier than ever.
We got the advanced mixer board tonight with the sliders,
Yeah,
so I can.
no more technical difficulties. We did enough of that last week.
Yeah, definitely enough of that.
Sure.
Last
I'm
week.
battling a little bit of I don't know what, but tired maybe. That might be what it is. So if I sound a little down, just give me a minute. Eric will get me fired up. He knows my triggers.
Yeah, I'm tired too, so we're just gonna wing this thing tonight and get through it, and
That's what we always do.
go back about our normal life. So,
Sounds good, man.
well, I dump water on myself here to start. Perfect.
If it wasn't a complete S show, we wouldn't be doing what we do.
That's what
doing
we
what
do.
we love, man.
That's what we do. That's why our dozens I guess it'd be less than dozens, our ones of fans.
We've got listeners. I don't know if
Yeah.
they're fans.
I don't know.
We have dedicated listeners.
We got a couple fans.
We do have a couple fans. A few of them know more about this thing than we do.
Yeah.
At this point.
I agree. We're already going off the rails. All right. Bank of America Roval 400 this weekend. Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Roval. Chase, he didn't spin and win.
It's not the
He
spin and win.
wrecked and won.
That's the wreck and win. Stuffed it in the fence and won.
So here's a question for you, James. I don't know if you watched it live or
I did.
whatnot.
Yep.
I did not watch it live, but I watched it delayed and I watched it straight through. And when Chase hit the wall or hit the tire barrier, what were your thoughts? I mean, did you think there was a chance he was coming back to win that
I
race?
didn't think he would win, but I had the way the car looked. I'm like, he can get a top 10 out of this thing still. There's plenty of time left, but he came flying through the field again, and it was, I thought he was done. I thought we had the Brad Keselowski situation, but
Yeah.
he was lucky nobody piled in after him.
That is true.
And he was able to roll it back, minor damage, keep on going, and that car, man, what a piece. Hendrick brought some speed to the Roval. I mean, all their guys were fast.
I thought Byron was going to be the guy.
Well, and
So here, let me
go ahead.
So let me give
Yeah.
you a little input on my day. So I had a hockey game during the day, so I got done with the hockey game and watched the race. And my goal when that happens always is to not know what happened, because the race isn't as much fun to watch when you know what happened. So I tried to avoid social media. I accidentally went. I don't know how I accidentally go on Instagram, but I accidentally went on Instagram, and I stumbled across a Jimmy Johnson post, and it was his car up on two wheels over the turtles, and then him saying something like "this time last year," and I'm like, "Oh crap!" Scroll. So the whole time I'm thinking somehow Jimmy Johnson wins this race.
Yeah.
I thought for sure he's posting that he
figured it
won the
out, yeah,
race.
yeah.
And Jimmy Johnson won the race.
that's awesome.
And I'm just ticked off at myself because I opened Instagram for some stupid reason.
Well, when Jimmy Johnson does win, hopefully you don't find out that way. Hopefully you do find out.
But
live.
then he had trouble at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, he got into the fence a little bit too.
That's right.
He was battling some damage, but he was able to rally. He didn't have a bad day.
At that point, I knew that my prediction was incorrect. And then I thought it was going to be Byron, man. I really
Byron
thought.
was really good. Well, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, but Alex Bowman came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he had fresher tires. Get credit to him on that, but he put on a heck of a drive too. Him and Chase both at the same time were putting on a heck of a drive, and that's what Bowman needed to advance.
Who was the second best driver on the day?
Alex Bowman.
No, Kevin Harvick.
Kevin Harvick was good.
Kevin Harvick led 34 laps, one less than Chase Elliott.
Yeah, he was good. He was.
Do you even remember Kevin Harvick?
Not much, no. He was very quietly leading. William Byron led a lot of laps too. But yeah, Harvick was really quiet and
I think there was so much going on in the middle of the field that nobody paid attention to the leaders.
No, the middle of the field was out of control this
Yeah.
year. I mean, again, as it typically gets, we can say the word typically now for the Roval because we've done it twice.
We've done it twice.
But yeah, there's that turn one. So going back to Chase Elliott just
Yeah.
for a second, they did a good job on the broadcast of breaking down how difficult it is to hit that turn off the restart because you don't chicane it.
Did they do a good job? Or
I
did
felt
they
like
say
they
it
did.
700 times?
They did say it 700 times.
I did
They
appreciate.
covered the bait. They covered it very well.
I appreciated them showing the speed, the actual speeds, the actual telemetry. on the 699th time that Steve Letarte said something about it.
Steve Letarte was all over it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that they brought it up because I didn't even
It's a real
think about
challenge, and it had an impact on the race.
It really is a big storyline, but it was hit a little more probably than need be.
Yeah.
But they're assuming people come and go in the middle of the race. And in that case, they didn't sit through it like I did. Now they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I can't hate on NBC too much, but God, was it annoying.
Yeah, I know. They covered it a lot. You nailed that part. But yeah, they were all over it. But it, kudos to them. It played a big role at the end of the day. Chase Elliott had a huge mistake, but not enough of a mistake, and was able to rally. So
yeah, I just had a feeling like he's not done yet. When first of all he hits a tire barrier and he didn't even stop. He bounced back off of it and then took off, and it's like, huh?
There was some, the hood was kind of pushed back, which got me concerned a little bit. But
then it's like, well, is the if the radiator's good,
he should be fine.
The tires look clear. I mean,
Arrow's not that big of a deal at the Roval. There's so many. They're going so slow,
right?
So,
but I didn't think he was gonna come back and win the thing.
No.
Of course, at the end, when we got caution after caution at the end, a couple of them a little mysterious, maybe unnecessary.
The
cautions.
NASCAR officiating was pretty spotty, to be nice.
Yeah,
to be nice about it. There was some really spotty questions.
You know what I think they need? I think they need a new official in the tower in a couple weeks.
Enough of that. Yeah, right.
One new official in the tower.
No, we used to give Hoots a whole lot of fraud.
That's not what I'm talking about. Inside joke.
Oh,
anyway.
I was going the other direction, sorry.
So
what do we do with Chase Elliott on these roads? You and I talked ourselves out of him on the podcast last week. We both brought him up when we were doing our picks, and we thought, okay, what do we do with Chase Elliott?
What did he do at Sonoma? I don't
think
remember.
he was very good at Sonoma. I'll look that up. You filibuster for him.
I mean, Sonoma is a really different
thoroughly
track.
dominated Watkins Glen.
I would probably call, and this is coming from somebody with zero racing experience and even less road course racing experience, I would think the Roval would be more similar to Watkins Glen.
Yeah, that first turn. I heard Jeff Burton talking about this. The first turn at Watkins Glen and the Roval are not that similar, even though they appear to be. And you're taking that 90, you're going really hard into a turn. He said just the speeds and everything. He said it's pretty different. But other than that,
Sonoma's like a traditional road course.
Yeah.
I don't consider Watkins Glen a traditional road course.
Chase led 3 laps at Sonoma. He started 4th. He finished 37th, though. He lost an engine. He only completed 60 laps.
That's right. Okay.
So he was in the hunt,
Yeah.
in the mix, but nothing to show for it.
Of course, we know the 24 car was really good at Sonoma, right?
Yes,
that was the one he was.
Yeah.
He would have probably won the race if they wouldn't have been on the point strategy.
Yep.
So yeah, I guess Chase Elliott's the guy. Right now
him
on
and
the road
Truex.
course.
Yeah, him and Truex. I mean, pick.
Well,
pick
I
'em.
mean, Truex, as long as there aren't chicanes.
Right. Yeah, that seemed to be his issue.
He went through the back chicane like 4 times.
Yeah, he
didn't
did. Yeah. So just
James Walt's in trouble. Right
I know
now.
he is. Walt is in trouble. That's usually me yelling at him, so it's all good.
All right, let's talk about Alex Bowman. So Alex Bowman manages to get a second place finish, manages to squeak his way into the next round of the playoffs somehow, some way. In the meantime, getting completely distracted and frustrated with.
He tried to sabotage himself. I mean,
With
he
Bubba
really
Wallace.
did. He really did.
Well, from the opening lap.
Yep. First lap spun.
Spins on the backstretch on the first lap, gets into it with Bubba Wallace, gets water thrown at him after the race, which probably was nice.
Probably felt
considering
good. He was going through some heat stroke or something, whatever he had going. I mean, he was getting not heat stroke. I should be correct there. He was getting checked out. But
right.
Yeah.
So Bowman's let himself get distracted the last couple of weeks. That's kind of dangerous in the playoffs.
The fact that he rallied to second is, I don't know where it came from because he was.
It came from
jumped.
the car that he brought.
Brought the car, fresh tires late, restarts late, allowed him to make up a lot of time. And if you're if you're one of the guys he bumped like Newman was junk all day.
Yeah.
But you got to be frustrated with the way that played out because Bowman was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just making trouble all day, and it was of his own doing.
Yeah.
I mean, spinning Darrell Wallace Jr., Bubba. I mean, that was such a knucklehead move. You have so much on the line.
Yeah, exactly. What is the win there? So here's 2 weeks in a row now that Bowman has gotten into it with a non-playoff driver.
Yeah, what's his deal, man? He's silver spooning Austin Dillon, and he's spinning Bubba. I mean, he's got. Cat with 9 lives. He's got another chance here in the second round,
right?
And he's going to some tracks where he's good. Kansas, he'll be good there. So he's really got to focus and get it back in line, because what he did on Sunday was borderline embarrassing for a lot of the day. And then all of a sudden he turned into a monster.
Yeah, we thought he had to win to make it. And then Ryan Newman, fortunately for Bowman.
Yeah, issues on pit road for Newman.
Yep.
Almirola got bumped out, and he's got to be kicking himself a little bit because he had, I don't know, he was there, and then that late surge just completely derailed Almirola, and he's got to be bumming because he's got some good tracks coming up for him too with Talladega. He could have made the round of 8 again.
I need to find an audio clip of Dale Jr. saying Almirola and
Yeah,
add it to the soundboard because he can't say it.
He can't say it.
It's great.
That's that Southern charm.
It's good stuff.
That's that Southern charm.
So let's talk about playoffs real quick.
Yeah.
4 drivers out. We lost Kurt Busch, Eric Jones, who...
Well, I mean, those are the 2 guys that we really liked. We liked Busch moving forward, and we liked Jones.
Jones just saved every bit of bad luck he could have for the last round or the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, he scored 4 points in the playoffs.
That's terrible.
Yeah. He's not digging out of that. He's going to finish 16th in the standings. He's not coming back. He's at the bottom. What a bummer. Because he peaked, and then at the start of the playoffs just completely was a non-factor.
The only solace you can have if you're Eric Jones is you're back in that car next year, and the car was great all season.
Yep, car, and you'll be better. You got another, these rules are coming back. We'll talk about that later too.
Yeah.
But you get more seat time. He'll be fine. They can try some things, try to win some races. He can go out and try to win Talladega, maybe some other ones. But yeah, what a bummer. And Kurt Busch, another one. He just didn't have it in this round. And
I mean, there's not much else to say there. Ryan Newman, he did Ryan Newman things until the very end, and missed the chicane. Spun out, I think. Yeah.
Ryan Newman was the Detroit Lions with a lead at the half.
That's true. That's true.
And he did Detroit Lion things to fumble it away.
And then you mentioned Eric Almirola.
That's the bummer.
Falls out as well.
Yeah, that's the real bummer. Those Hendrick cars. I mean, they knocked out. They were a wrecking crew. Yeah, and it completely changed the outlook of the playoffs moving forward.
Definitely. Before we get into a little bit more playoff discussion and talk about the next round, lots of social media talk. I know we both love social media when it comes to NASCAR talk. Lots of talk after the race. A lot of smack talk about the race. I saw a lot of people unhappy with how the Roval went.
I don't know what people were mad about.
I mean, it was a great race. There was battling throughout the field.
Bumping and banging, crashing.
There was no concern of, I mean, there was talk last year about, okay, there's only a couple places we can pass. Well, that's not true because they passed everywhere on this track.
Yep.
I think there's nothing to complain about here.
No.
They fixed the Roval. The one problem they had with the Roval was the backstretch chicane. That's fixed.
Yep. Slowed them down a little bit more, and that was good.
I can't say I'm a fan of the stop and go rule with the chicane.
Yeah, Bromberg actually had a really good tweet about how you could cut the Roval, or you could cut the chicane, stop, serve your penalty, and still have faster laps.
Yeah.
And NASCAR
did he actually test that? Does he have? Is he? Because I'm quite certain that Bromberg's never gotten out of anything other than a rental car.
No, that's right. That's right.
I'm pretty sure he hasn't done a lap in a cup car. So,
but the way that they served the penalty, but NASCAR did in the drivers' meeting tell the drivers, "Hey guys, you can't run the race this way.
Right.
You'll get penalized again."
Yeah.
So that was them covering their butts, but they probably didn't think about it. And at the time, you serve your penalty, but
yeah, of course Bromberg thought about it.
He did. Yeah, I know. He found the way.
I got nothing to say.
I know. That's your boy.
So I'm not a fan of, because we saw some guys just miss it, just clip it, and have to stop and didn't stop, and they got penalized for it. But I will say, Steve Letarte, Dale Jr. both said during the broadcast that they like the fact that there is no wiggle room. There is no room for interpretation. It is a line in the sand.
Yep.
This is the rule. And for that, I say
we need that more.
Awesome.
We need that on more tracks, honestly.
So good. I don't have a suggestion to make it better.
No.
So you don't want people blowing through the chicanes because they could.
Yep.
You have to have some sort of penalty. So
and think about the race last year, how Johnson spun in the front stretch chicane and still had to come to a stop because he cut.
Right.
Which normally you would think he's already lost time. He's served his penalty. He could just gun it and go, and he would have made the playoffs in that instance, right? But
again, cut and dry rule.
Yep, cut and dry rule. You have to stop, and Johnson did. Kudos to him. But
one thing I noticed is in the Xfinity race, they weren't coming to a complete stop when they blew when they were doing the stop and go.
Yeah.
And that surprised me that NASCAR let that go. They still were at a disadvantage,
It's
so
a rolling
it was
stock,
no
yeah.
big deal. But they were not stopping completely. In the Cup race, I saw stopping completely. They were doing it better, and maybe they were told Sunday morning that hey,
Maybe NASCAR had to clarify
yeah,
that. Yeah.
So, but I'm good with it.
Yeah, me too.
I swear there was one other thing I wanted to talk about with the Roval, but
I think, Jeff Gluck's poll, just to talk about feedback online, 87%, his sixth highest of the year. So down from last year, but still pretty high. If that's a barometer of fans' takes.
and I bet you most of that has to do with the last lap because there was no battle of the line.
Right,
like
that plays a role.
That when you have a guy that comes from third to win
Well,
the
that race on last year was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, that Kyle Larson stuff, and I mean, it was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you can't have that every year.
No.
You can't have it every week. You can't have it every year. As much as NASCAR would love it, it's not possible.
If you want some insight on the Roval, I'm going to just get the shout out of the way here. My weekly Dale Jr. podcast shout out. Marcus Smith on the podcast this week.
Yeah.
A lot of talk about how the Roval came to be and all that. Really good.
Yeah.
Really good, insightful conversation with Marcus Smith.
Yeah,
and
they brought
also some hints about maybe the future of Bristol.
Uh-oh.
So Dale Jr. says in the podcast, he's always comes up with these crazy ideas, and he was on the plane because Junior doesn't have a plane right now.
Right.
So he's been hitching rides with people. He hitched a ride with Marcus Smith to Las Vegas, and so he told him Bristol, he wants them to tear the concrete up and put asphalt down. He wants them to run asphalt there because the reason they put concrete there was the cars would rip up the asphalt back in the day. Well, now they know more about asphalt. Their technology is better. They could fix that problem.
It doesn't wear out like it used to.
Right. And it would make the racing better at Bristol to have asphalt. And he said, oh, by the way, since you're going to tear it up anyway, tear it up, run the first Cup race on dirt in April, and then pave it for the night race.
That's awesome.
And Marcus was like kind of rolling his eyes at it. And then he kind of teased at the end that, a dirt race at Bristol someday. And it's like, yeah, those guys, Speedway Motorsports, just crazy enough to do something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, why not, right? They've put dirt in there before. Why not? Let it happen again. So are they tearing it out this year?
No.
Oh,
No.
dang. I was hoping that. I was kind of leaning. I was like, man, that would be cool.
No, but it would be great.
And if they did tear it out, please put the banking back.
I know, right?
We're on a tangent, but seriously.
I know there's so much stuff they could do with Bristol, but hey, people keep piling into the place like they did in the August race this year. They'll be okay. Anyway.
Yeah, they'll be
They won't
fine.
need to change anything.
They're going to be fine.
So let's talk about the playoffs real quick. We are on to the round of 12 now.
Yes.
I guess I know that because there's 12 cars listed on this. So outside the top 8 right now. Well, let's run down the 8 first that are in at this moment at the beginning of the playoffs.
They have the advantage going forward.
Yep, you got Kyle Busch, who now is back in the lead.
Yeah, not much though. Truex definitely put a hurting on him.
Yeah,
it's a 5-point
Well,
lead.
it helps when you win 2 out of 3 races.
Yes, right.
So Martin Truex second, Denny Hamlin third, Joey Logano fourth, Kevin Harvick fifth, Chase Elliott sixth, Brad Keselowski seventh, and Kyle Larson is eighth.
Yeah.
And on the outside looking in, Alex Bowman, Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Clint Bowyer.
Clint Boyer. We didn't talk about his run. He had a great run.
Yeah, he did have a good run.
To get himself in. He was
Clint,
on the outside looking in.
It's a road course. Clint's a road course.
He's a
guy.
good driver on road course, yeah,
Yep.
for sure. We should give him some kudos because he definitely had to earn it.
Yeah,
to make
definitely.
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Now the first 7 on your list are on the points list here, from Kyle Busch to Brad Keselowski, all above 324 points. They're grouped together. They're about 22 points apart.
3,024.
Yeah, sorry. I know.
Just helping
anyway,
you out.
I know it's all 3,000. Sorry, add the 3,000. But Kyle Larson, he's on the bubble. I mean, so he's only 1 point ahead of Bowman right now.
This is the round where he blows it.
Probably. Well, and the problem is Ganassi's has not been great in super speedway racing.
Right.
So I mean, if they're going to try to survive, that might be the only thing that can help them.
Yeah, Larson didn't have a good time last time he was at Talladega.
No, he hasn't had a good time. He hasn't had a good time on any of the super speedways lately. I feel like. But yeah, it's tight at the bottom. I mean,
Yeah,
best of the best now.
3,000 points for Clint Bowyer. 3,006 is Kyle Larson, who is in.
Yeah.
So
and
Clint Bowyer's
Dover's going to be. Larson is good at Dover though, and
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, and hopefully he can put a little gap on him if that's your driver.
Yeah. Hey, he could get the win there and not have to worry about it.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome. For
Yeah,
him.
exactly. Unless one of those JGR cars gets the win. I mean, gosh dang, they got the top 3 spots, the 3 best and the one worst.
Yeah.
Now Kyle Busch, I was talking to you before the podcast, looking at the final standings after round 3. Kyle Busch went from what was it? What was his advantage? 20 points ish,
Something like that.
He fell all the way to 7th in points. You can do that in the first round.
Yeah, I
But-
can't do that again.
Yeah, you can't do that again. Speaking of Kyle Busch, though, I want to get your thoughts really quick.
Yeah.
What do you think about him exiting the car at the end of the race with the suspension issue? Still drivable. Race was red flagged.
Yeah, I guess I missed that part because I skipped through the red flag. So I don't really have an opinion on that.
So what happened was Kyle, there was red flag. Kyle Busch had issues all day again.
I did see his post-race comments about it.
Yeah, fans came after him a little bit because they pulled he's a quitter card on him, which Kyle Busch has a history of leaving the track early. It's not.
Oh,
It's,
Dale
it's out
Jr.
there.
got his ride.
That's right. So, my thoughts on that were, I mean, I feel like you should finish the race, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He was so far in, it doesn't matter. So what's the point of just making laps? That's the format we're in now, right? I mean, it's why risk your health, I guess,
Right.
you know? So that's just my quick thoughts on that. I saw it was a little bit of a controversy, but not much. Not a big Kyle Busch controversy. Minor for him.
I'm with you. I kind of feel that you finish the race. That's your job. Your guys are there working to get you into that thing. You finish it.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, we didn't really discuss the Bowman Bubba Wallace thing a whole lot. Bubba Wallace's actions after the race. Good with that? Against it?
Probably there's a better time for it, but I'm okay with it.
Is it a punishable thing? In your
No,
mind?
NASCAR doesn't see it that way. I don't see it that way.
I don't think so either. I don't think you
I
punish
mean, he
for
got
that.
wrecked. Why would we, honestly, why would we be on Alex Bowman's side on that one?
I think Bubba Wallace is
He was antagonizing him, though.
yeah.
I mean, I've seen the videos of him sticking the finger out the window. He was
Bubba
definitely-
needs to watch his finger. He's gotten himself into trouble a couple times with
well,
it.
he hasn't learned. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Who did he have an issue with earlier in the year? I can't recall, but he's done this. He's
It
done
was
this before.
Daniel Suarez.
That's it. Yes, thank you. Yeah, him and Suarez had an issue, and apparently he hasn't learned from it. NASCAR's going to talk to him this week, though, so I don't know what's going on there, but he's talked about his mental health a little bit this year too. I don't know if he's just frustrated or what, but
Bubba is an emotional, passionate person, and if you try to put a pin in that, you're doing exactly what all of us want you not to do.
Exactly. You mess with his feel good, I guess, is the way to say it. But I mean, he's
let him have a personality. He didn't hurt anybody.
No.
If anything, like I said, he probably helped Bowman out by throwing some water at him.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely caught
the
him off
medical
guard.
officials were there.
Yeah.
Not the right time to do it.
Moody was tweeting that, something of the sort of, we shouldn't be doing that in this day and age, blah blah blah, kind of thing. And I'm like, it's not a what it was to who. Or
I'm pretty sure that if Bowman wouldn't have been laying on the ground, that he probably would have been more than a water bottle.
Can you imagine if Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon got into something and Jeff Gordon threw water on Dale Earnhardt? That would have been a bigger blow up than what happened here. NASCAR fans are upset at Bubba. I'm like,
yeah, Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt in the water bottle.
yeah, NASCAR loves this stuff.
A little different
That's
situation.
a little bit.
Hitting the wrong spot was the problem.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else with the Roval?
Man, I hate that we were leaving it in the rear view, but
I know. I feel like we
we're
should be talking about it more, but there's not much else to talk about. I think excellent race.
Was a
I
great
think
race.
we've got a winner here. I think we knew that after last season, and
Yep.
I'm glad.
Keep it as the elimination race. Don't
Yes.
mess with it.
Yes, it is great as an
Perfect.
elimination
It's
race.
perfect where it is.
It's enough of a wild card, but not a Talladega type wild card.
Yeah.
See, I like the chaos that Talladega brings as a cutoff race.
I do too. But Harvick ruined that for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I understand the uncertainty of it and the chance of it to become a spectacle, whereas this isn't a spectacle. It's just exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's different, and it's pure NASCAR racing. It's It's exactly what NASCAR wants. It's exciting racing.
Yep, exactly. All right, let's talk some news items. We got the 2020 rules announcement this week. Not much changing. The cars are going to be the same as they are this year.
Yep. Same rules packages as well.
The biggest thing is some cut downs on testing, things like that.
Yeah, wind tunnel time way down.
Yeah, wind tunnel time is huge. So you've got like the smallest text humanly
Yeah,
possible.
I
here on
copied
this
some
page.
images over. But so organizations will be limited to 150 hours of wind tunnel time per calendar year, so
And there
starting
is-
in January.
And there's no limit right now.
Yeah, and some of these teams test 24 hours a week or something. I saw
Yeah.
Alan Cavana tweeted that they are in that tunnel all the time. So it's going to be a significant cut.
We also we're going to create a longer unemployment line in the NASCAR team area.
Yeah, and people are mad about that.
I bet
And
rosters are down 2 spots next year.
Your boy Moody had an opportunity, and he banged the NASCAR drum again, and I'm just like, I don't know where I fall on this just yet, but that's not my response. NASCAR getting it right. I don't feel that they got this one right.
No.
I know they're trying to reduce costs, but these teams, like Brad Keselowski said, they're going to spend the money elsewhere. They're I know the teams are screaming for help.
unless you manage it and put a cap on it.
They're not.
But I don't know how you can possibly do that with everybody being their own independent team.
Yeah, they'll find something else.
Short of completely franchising the whole thing and running it through NASCAR, which I think would ruin the sport.
Yeah.
You're never going to control the costs. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs though, and it's
too bad.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, you talk two guys a team and
Per weekend,
40 teams.
Yep.
You know, and I'm not all 40 of those teams
Well, and
probably
plus
fill the roster, but
plus the body shop stuff too, because of the composite bodies that are coming in. There's going to be it's going to be a lot of it's going to be done in house for NASCAR.
Yep.
So I mean, NASCAR's going to be making bodies, but
Right.
teams aren't going to be doing it like they used to either. So
Also some convoluted rules as far as number of chassis they can have, number of times they have to run motors.
yeah, the long block sealed engines.
I'm
and
not
things
going
like
to
that.
fully
Yeah.
claim that I understand most of that, but let's just put it this way: there's more limits on that stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas there weren't limits, or there were less limits last
Yeah,
year.
NASCAR's bringing the hammer down on trying. They're trying to police costs.
Yep.
They've always tried to police costs, but
Yep.
it's just I just think it's futile.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but I don't think you and I are going to notice any difference. The only people that are going to notice the difference are the people that are out of jobs. So
Yeah.
that's
And
disappointing.
that's a bummer, yeah.
Yep.
Especially in the sport where it's struggled for 20 years now.
Yep.
And just to have people losing their jobs in the industry is not fun.
Yep, exactly. We also got the NASCAR ARCA announcement this year,
Yeah.
or for next year.
This is a good one.
Yeah, let me click on the link here because I was reading about this today. I went to add it to the notes, and you already had it in here.
Yeah. So they're combining K&N.
Yes.
And I mean, we've done
Yeah,
that.
the K&N series basically is gone.
Is ARCA now.
It
ARCA,
is ARCA.
ARCA, what is it?
ARCA East,
and
ARCA
West.
Menards Series East, and
Yep.
ARCA Menards Series West.
Yeah. So, and we talked about this before. We knew this was coming, but now we have a framework for 4 champions.
Yep.
You have your overall ARCA series, you have your East and West series champions, and then you have the 10 combined races.
Right.
Where
ARCA Showdown.
the showdown, and you'll have a 10 race combined schedule with all of the ARCA Menard series, and somebody's going to be a champion of that.
The best thing about this whole deal is that you have 3 series essentially that were struggling for car numbers because nobody knew what it was going to be next year.
Yes.
That now it's going to be a uniform set of rules
Yes.
to a certain extent. to
and
where,
will increase exposure for
Yeah.
some of these drivers.
Yep.
With this new format. I mean, that's 20 races for the ARCA series, the big ARCA series.
Right.
And in those 20 races will be the 10 combined. So
You know who's in racing at the perfect time right now?
Haley Deegan.
Haley Deegan.
I got in trouble on Twitter for posting about Haley Deegan this
Yeah.
week.
Hating on her or what?
A little bit, not really hating
Man,
on
don't
her.
be hating on Haley.
No, she got dumped this weekend, and all I said was, if you dump people all the time, eventually it comes back and bites you. I think that's a true statement.
It's true. It's true. We've
statement.
talked about it on this podcast.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, Haley Deegan's going to be doing this, and
This is perfect for Haley because this gives her a real good opportunity to jump on some of the big tracks and
yeah,
and get some experience, more exposure than she already has.
and NASCAR's itching to get her into the next levels. Now.
Yes,
I mean,
definitely.
social media numbers have shown she is one of the most talked about drivers in the sport of racing.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
definitely.
That Danica factor? Yeah,
right.
I don't know. Not quite to that extent, but
So as far as the templates, et cetera, for these cars, because there is difference between the K&N cars and the ARCA cars, basically NASCAR says that if you were good in the rules in 2019, you're good in the rules in 2020.
perfect.
So,
There you go. Keep it simple for these teams.
yep, exactly. So, good deal. I mean, that's all around good. The only disappointment I have in the announcement is that they renewed their deal with MAV TV, which
Yeah.
doesn't do any good for me because I don't have MAV TV, so I can't watch any of these.
Yeah.
However, a lot of times the K&N races are on Fans Choice TV for free,
Yeah.
which is awesome, except you have to deal with the announcer at the local track, which is horrible a lot of times. But
Right.
anyway,
Don't you know a couple of those guys?
I know a couple of those guys.
They're not so bad.
Yeah, a couple of them we want to shut up. So, but good deal all around. Good
Inside
to see.
joke, people.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
not being mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good to see what the future is for ARCA because
Yeah.
I was concerned when this whole
It's a
announcement-
stronger base.
I'm happy now because I was worried that ARCA was going to go away.
Yeah, NASCAR's got it covered. I mean, they've got the IMSA stuff covered. They've got ARCA Menard series covered, and now with some IndyCar stuff coming together, NASCAR's
Yeah, speaking of that, let's go back to that because we did have an interesting thing at the Roval this weekend.
it's kind of one of the reasons I brought it up.
Yeah, after practice,
on Friday. Yeah,
I think he's the champion, right?
yeah.
For IndyCar.
Joseph Newgarden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went and ran some laps.
Did
on
6
the Roval.
laps.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Flying, dude.
yeah. So there, a lot of hints were dropped in this whole deal. And I mean, the big hint was the fact that he's running the Roval on the same weekend it's set up for NASCAR, and that maybe we could see an IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader, and it'd be the perfect track to do it, because really there was a lot of talk about doing it at Indy
Yeah.
with the road course, but you're not going to take the Brickyard 400 off of the big track.
Right.
And you're not going to run another race in Indy so they can run the road course.
Right.
And you're not going to run the road course for NASCAR on the Indy 500 weekend, because you can't do that.
And think about who has room in their schedule for expansion.
Right.
Not NASCAR.
Exactly.
NASCAR cannot add races to the schedule.
So
but
here's
IndyCar can.
Here's a track that has the Roval set up that you could run a doubleheader weekend on. And then there was also talk this week, some hints dropped about one of the sports car series running a triple header. Sports cars.
IMSA, yeah.
Sports car, NASCAR.
So you'd have a
and
4 race.
IndyCar.
You could do possibly a 4 or even 5 race weekend if you wanted to bring the trucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the trucks don't come on this trip, but yeah, you could do a
Yeah,
4 race weekend. easy.
I would leave the trucks off the Roval. We don't need the trucks on the
I mean, they're
Roval.
exciting on road courses.
They are exciting on road
They're
courses.
exciting everywhere. Right? Trucks are.
Yeah, the trucks. That's the thing. Is the trucks are good anywhere. So why clutter this up with the trucks? And that's very rare for me to say, but I really want fewer truck races with Cup races.
The trucks got Eldora. That's their thing.
Exactly.
This is kind of NASCAR's thing.
Exactly.
The big track, the big series.
So I saw the announcement today, and I think this is excellent. It's not really that big of a deal, but I think it's great. So
It's just great advertising.
Kevin Harvick's team this week announced, or Busch announced,
Yes.
that they've basically Busch words it without outright saying it, that they've been running another driver's name on
Two drivers' names.
Yeah, 2 drivers' names on Kevin
And they're sick
Harvick's
of it.
car all season, and they're tired of it. They want everybody to know that they sponsor Kevin Harvick. So this weekend, instead of Busch on the car, it's going to say Harvick.
Harvick.
Everywhere the Busch logo is, will say Harvick, including
The can.
the cans that are sold at the track, the advertising the track, everything is going to say Harvick. This is awesome.
It's really cool. They really hit something with the millennial car and what was the 80s car or whatever they called it. I think Busch is loving this little pop they get for doing funny things like that.
This is great. And it just came out of nowhere. I saw it today.
Well,
And it's like,
you and I texted because we have the same rule of thought here. And I said to you, it's a kid's diecast car.
Yep.
And you laughed and you're like, I thought the same thing.
and that's honestly, I would imagine that that's part of this discussion, because now they're going to slap that on the diecast car, and the diecast car is going to be the legit car, and they're going to sell those to kids.
Yeah, they can sell them. They have to take the can off. The can is still on the car.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just Harvick, and then you could sell those at Target, unless somebody opens all the packages. If you listen to last week's podcast.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think I've talked about this in a podcast, but back in 1988 or 89, Racing Champions did a 12 car set in the Sears catalog or JCPenney catalog.
It was JCPenney. I remember this. They did it for a number of years.
Yeah, but this was the first year they did it, and I bought the set, of course, because I was a NASCAR fan.
Yep.
And one of the cars in it was Rusty Wallace's 27 Miller Genuine Draft car, and it has the beer sponsorship on it.
That's pretty
And
BA.
that's so awesome.
Do you still have that car?
Yeah, it's beat up because I played with it.
Oh, of course.
It's
You had
definitely
to.
beat up. But
I've got my beat up cars
I
still.
could find it within probably 5 minutes in my house, and my house is a mess right now.
Yeah,
Still could
well,
find it within
yeah.
5 minutes.
Do you have a house?
Yeah, right? I know.
Well, your boys have a lot of my old cars. Some
Yeah,
of them.
yeah, some of
not
them.
my oldest.
Some of them. I did notice that there were no Tony Stewart cars in that bunch, though.
Oh, I tried to sneak 1 or 2 in there.
I don't
but
know.
Maybe
I don't
they
remember
did.
seeing any Tony
probably
Stewart
not.
ones in
That's
there.
hard to part with.
I know.
A lot of Mark Martins in
Tony
there,
Stewart, Ernie Irvin. I didn't see any of those in there.
Yeah, no.
But a lot of Bobby Labonte, was it, or Terry Labonte?
Terry Labonte
A lot
for
of
some
Terry
reason.
Labonte
Yeah.
cars.
No, I used to keep my die. This is another tangent. Sorry. I used to keep all my die casts in one of those giant Ziploc bags, and I would take them with me wherever I went, camping, to my grandma's, wherever. And there was a race. I mean, we were racing, and that's how I had cars for everybody. I had enough to cover the whole field.
See, my difference for where you is I had the Hot Wheels cases with the individual car
Yeah,
slots.
see, I didn't do it that way.
Mine were kept in there. I had 2 of those, which I still have. They're still in there.
I've seen them.
And so those went with me everywhere I went. And I did not even get them out when people were around.
Yeah,
this was
see.
only for me. Nobody else touched my race
I put on
cars.
races for people at the campground.
Yeah.
Like under the lights and stuff on the picnic table. Oh, yeah.
Not me. No, nobody had anything to do with them except for me. And then the best part is I was so OCD about them that if Racing Champions did this thing where they changed the wheels on them.
Oh, yeah.
And they had bigger wheels, and I had to completely replace the entire field because I could not have some cars that looked
You
different.
got some OCD issues, man. I used to, but I used to get upset when my Ernie Irvins and my Kyle Petty's would get scratched.
Yeah.
And I'd have to go to the store and get new ones. It was a whole thing. And then Kyle Petty changed the logo on the side of the Mellow Yellow car, and I just couldn't have it. I couldn't have that old one anymore.
This is what happens when we're tired. We get tangents. So one more tangent. I remember being in Kmart, and there was a Jeff Bodine number 11 car, Budweiser car, which it was when Bill Elliott was running the Budweiser car at this time. And so I wanted it as the Bill Elliott car. And I remember begging my mom to let me get this car. I mean, it's a $2 car or whatever. Begging her and promising her that if she let me buy this car, that I would make sure it won every one of my races.
Wow.
Like, that was a selling point to my mother.
It explains why our kids are the way they are.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it does explain a lot. All right. Tyler Reddick. I couldn't think of his first name.
This is quick. Yeah, Tyler Reddick officially goes to the 8.
Yep, there we go.
I already knew that.
Bam,
Sorry.
done.
Boom, done.
All right.
Yep.
So, do we care? James, give us the do we care topic this week.
Yeah, so you and I texted about this week, too.
Yes.
So Jimmy Johnson has, since his last Cup win in June of 2017, 19 different drivers have won a Cup Series race. What the heck? That's a lot of drivers.
Yeah. For one, I say, yeah, I do care because that shocks me. I mean, that
It's a lot of
goes to
drivers,
show
dude.
you how competitive. And you did bring up that, we've got drivers like Justin Haley in this
yeah,
bunch.
Yeah.
But still, man,
Yeah, so here's a little bit of the list. I don't
that's
know if
half the field.
Yeah. So Stenhouse Jr. is on this list for 1 win. He's had 2 career wins, so that's kind of the time frame. Dillon, Almirola, Bowman, Kane, Kenseth. And then you've got, Jones, Boyer.
That's crazy to think that Casey Kane has won a race more recently than Jimmy Johnson has.
Yeah. I think it was the same month. They were like right
Yeah,
by.
you're
Yeah,
right. They were like right.
Well, the Brickyard had moved. I don't know. It's one of those days. So.
But that's crazy to
Yeah,
think.
Casey Kane is a most recent winner. Matt Kenseth is the most recent winner. He hasn't driven a full season in 2 years.
Wow.
2 seasons. He was part-time last year.
That's crazy. Does Jimmy get another win?
He'll win.
He's got to win.
He'll win. I have no doubt that he'll win a race.
Especially with the way Hendrick's running.
Yeah, they'll get there.
He's going to get a win.
Yeah.
He hasn't lost it. He's still Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, he's
not
lost.
the Jimmy.
He's lost something, but he hasn't lost everything.
Yeah.
He'll find a way to win. I mean, God, if Tony Stewart could win in the situation that he was in his last season, Johnson can win.
Yeah.
Johnson's in a much better situation than Stewart was in.
Let me draw a really crazy comparison here. Jimmy Johnson is not Richard Petty in that if you remember Richard Petty, which you probably do because you were probably...
little bit.
For me, my memory of Richard Petty is when he wasn't winning.
That's Darrell Waltrip for me.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Petty had won his last race by the time I watched my first race.
Yeah, me too.
Because my first Cup race was 1989, and I believe Petty's last win was 88.
84 or 88. No, I can't remember. Whenever he won the Firecracker 400,
Yeah.
84 maybe.
You might be
Somewhere around
right.
there,
Maybe
yeah.
it was 84.
So he raced for a long time without getting wins.
Yes. And horribly. Like 89 was his... 88 and 89 were his worst seasons ever, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, so Jimmy's not at that point. Jimmy's competitive still, and he'll get a win.
He'll figure it out.
Yep.
He might win this week. Shoot.
Yeah, he could. Dover. It's a good
Dover.
race.
It's Dover. It's his best track.
Yeah. With that, let's talk about the Dryden 400, whatever the hell Dryden is.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I think. We don't know if that's how you pronounce it.
That's where we're going.
That's how it's spelled. Dryden.
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 Dry, D-E-N-E.
What the hell is Dryden?
I have no idea.
Dryden. Punch it in the Google machine here.
We joked on...
Dryden Performance Products. Dryden lubricants.
There you go.
Formulated with all technology are. So I bet you these were some other brand and they've changed their name.
Yeah. Kind of like Exalta DuPont type deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So-
Well, we were joking before the podcast that if it's not Gander, we can't hardly pronounce some of these races.
Right.
Yeah.
I can barely get Gander Outdoors out.
Bank of America Roval is as easy as it gets.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Roval, we had trouble with. I mean, Roval was a little weird at first.
We tried. Yeah. I had somebody at work ask me, "What is this Roval?" And I was like, "Listen, this is great. You got to tune in." So I gave him the whole spiel.
I know. I told my stepdad last week. I said, "This is the race to watch this weekend. It's the Roval." He's like, "What's a Roval?" So, well,
This is the one to tune into. Come on, people.
Yep. All right, James, you get the first pick at Dover for the Roval.
Yeah.
The Roval. The Roval's last week.
Roval's
Dover
last
for the
week.
Dryden 400.
I'm going to surprise you a little bit with my pick.
All right.
I'm going Kevin Harvick. And here's why. The last 3 races, nobody's been better than Kevin Harvick. He has led, over the last 3 races at Dover, almost 500 laps. His average start is 3.3, and his average finish is 3.7. And you wouldn't think put Kevin Harvick and Dover together very often.
He's got 2 wins there.
Yep. And he's won one race over these last 3, but he's the only driver with 3 top 10s. The only closest one to him would be Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr. But Harvick's at a whole nother level at Dover. So that's why I'm going to pick Kevin.
I am going to say that somebody who had a not great weekend for him this weekend is going to bounce back and get back into victory lane for his 3rd time in the playoffs. And I'm going to go Martin Truex Jr.
That's a good pick. No Chase Elliott for us, our defending winner.
Yeah,
of this race.
I really, the only reason I didn't go with Chase Elliott is because he's the easy pick. So Chase Elliott's an easy pick with a win at Dover, and he's got the best average finish.
Yeah.
Kyle Larson,
We're not
I
sure.
almost went with him.
Yeah.
He's not as easy of a pick. He's got a good average finish, but
his
obviously doesn't have the win there.
his last 3 races, he ranks 7th right now, but his average start is really good, 4.7. He's at 8.3 average finish, but only one top 5 out of the last 3 races as well. He hasn't not led a lap. But just to show you the gap from Kevin Harvick to the next guys down, his 488 laps led is first to Chase Elliott's 156. That's how dominant he's been over the course of the last year.
So neither of us picked Jimmy Johnson with 11 wins and 17 top
I was going to take him
fives.
with my dark horse, but
Yeah.
I don't think he doesn't qualify.
At some point, he's going to fall back into dark horse category.
Yes.
So you could take Matt DiBenedetto as your dark horse if you want to, because I am not taking Matt DiBenedetto.
Oh, okay.
I am going to go with William Byron. With the way the Hendrick cars are running,
That's a good pick.
I'm taking William Byron as my
Yep.
dark horse pick. It's hard to pick somebody as a dark horse when they're in the playoffs, but
He's still young. He hasn't got a win yet. He counts.
Doing it anyway. As soon as he gets a win, he's off the
Yep.
dark horse list.
I'm not going to take Matt DiBenedetto.
No. DiBenedetto's going to win this weekend.
I know. Watch.
I mean, it's like a big Bristol, right?
It is kind of. You know what? Leave him on there.
I convinced you.
Yeah, leave him on there. I was looking at
Matt. Sorry, you're going to win the race this weekend because neither of us were going to pick
He's
you. But
gotta
now,
win one, man.
Now you're not going to win. He'll do it next year.
Some other driver stats just to show you where people are at. Jimmy Johnson ranks 20th in average finish over the last 3 races, behind guys like Jamie McMurray, who hasn't raced, Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola, Alex Bowman, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. all better than Jimmy Johnson over the last 3. Those are the I picked 3 because I feel like that's fairly recent.
Somebody who's not good at Dover, Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, Hamlin's not great,
Denny Hamlin's way down the list. He has 4 top 5s in his career at Dover.
and he's raced a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great.
11 top 10s, 4 top 5s. He's raced 27 times there.
He's been pretty good lately. So has Brad Keselowski. Eric Jones is another sneaky good track for Eric Jones, but we can't do anything with him.
Guys that are better than Denny Hamlin at Dover: Jamie McMurray, Eric Almirola, Ryan Newman's not surprising. He's won there 3 times.
Yeah.
William Byron, Clint Boyer.
I'm still looking at these last 3. Number 6 on my list, Daniel Suarez.
Yeah.
He has an 8th place average finish and 2 top 10s.
He has the second best average finish.
He's led
total
21
there.
laps too. Yeah.
Of course, he's only run 5 races, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, he could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Been a good dark horse
That's
pick.
interesting that Denny Hamlin's that bad.
Yeah, it's a weird track for him, but he's in a different league right now. So hopefully,
I mean, I don't see any. Yeah, exactly. But I don't see anybody else back there by Denny Hamlin that doesn't fit back there.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
I mean, maybe Ryan Blaney or Kurt. I mean, Kurt Busch has got a win, but a terrible average finish there.
Yeah. I wanted to text you so bad on Sunday because Michael McDowell was in the hunt for a really good stage win or stage finish in stage 2. Mm-hmm. I remember talking about him about the roll. I'm like, man, Michael McDowell finds a way. And after he had the kidney stones, which is, I've had that twice.
Yeah.
It is the worst pain.
I've heard they're awful.
I have broken bones in my body. I have run a marathon, and
Have you given birth?
I've not given birth.
Because I've heard that's pretty painful.
But I've passed 2 kidney stones. I had to have surgery for one of them. That is the worst pain I've ever gone through. So that dude was flying, and he passed kidney stones. So kudos to Michael McDowell.
So I will say that the Facebook message group that we have between you, me, and Todd, I turned off notifications for that because I was afraid.
Well, you and I text every day but Sunday.
Yeah.
That's the joke.
Yeah, exactly. I knew I wasn't worried about you. I was worried about Todd blowing it. So I turned that right off so he couldn't screw it up.
Right.
So sorry, Todd.
It's okay.
All right. Let's see. Fantasy League update. Is it worth talking about? I didn't even look at it.
Yeah, actually.
Did I win?
No, you had the worst overall.
Are you kidding me?
No, you're bad. I don't know what happened. Hold on. Finishes for the race. It reset on me. Scoters won. I was second. Oh, no, you weren't last. You beat Ranger Runyon.
Really?
Ranger finished last at 93 points.
Ranger must not have picked his drivers.
I don't know what happened, but that tightened up the front of the field just a touch because Ranger's been kind of running away with it a little bit. It is a 60-point difference.
I picked my drivers like way early.
I did too. I'm not missing a race again. That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever
I
done.
don't care. Every time I try, I do worse.
I gapped you a little bit now. Now I'm well over 100 points ahead of you, so I need to
Stupid.
make sure I finish strong here.
Stupid.
But Ranger is still in first overall over Justin 713, and then Freight Train is third. So there you go. A quick fantasy update, and
Yep, give us the playoff bracket.
I have the playoff bracket update.
Yes.
We're all tied at 50 points. Everybody missed 2 drivers.
Huh, interesting.
We have, I think, 6 people entered. Only 1 lost their champion. So that's probably not going to win. And that was our good buddy Ben. Thanks for submitting, Ben. But yeah, he had Kurt Busch, and I was like, oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because that was actually a sneaky good pick, we thought. You and I both agreed on that one. And then I think you had Jones going to the round of 8.
Yeah,
so
I definitely had him getting past the first round.
But I have most of us have all of our round of 8 drivers still. So it's going to be, this round of 8 is going to be a little bit dicey. But the points increase as we get to the round of 4 and the championship. So
I don't even know how this works. Just
Yep.
James probably got it figured out to where he'll win.
Yep. No, basically, I'll give you a quick rundown. It's 5 points per driver per round until we qualify him for the final 4. Then I give you 15. And then if you pick the correct champion, you get 25.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go. Just everybody take note of that and write it down. So next week
fast.
when he tells us the rules.
So if you're listening to this on 2x speed, that
Yeah.
must have sounded really great.
and James will change the rules next week because he'll make it.
I will not change the rules. I promise.
James, got any shout outs this week?
I do have another Twitter follow for people.
Great.
Barron Speedway actually follows him too, and I think that's why it popped up on my feed. Danny USCG. That's Danny USCG. This guy, I don't know what he does. He doesn't have any description. However, it looks like he purchases old NASCAR race cars and does something with them. But it is a pretty cool feed. He's got some old stuff on here. I am looking at a 96 Caterpillar Monte Carlo driven by David Green. Like, that's the kind of cars he's taking pictures of.
Interesting.
Yeah, so he owns all these cars. I don't know what he's doing with them. I don't know if he scraps them or what, but he's got an old Kodak Lumina, pictures of that. Some Dale Earnhardt cars. Some of them are show cars, but some of them are the real deal. He's got a Carl Edwards in here, but it's a pretty cool feed. I suggest just go check it out. It's Danny USCG.
Cool.
I'll shout him out.
I will have to check that out. Since you mentioned Barron Speedway, I'll shout him out one more time. He's got some videos on YouTube giving some more examples on how he's done things, and he is putting lighting on his track right
And
now.
that victory lane is sweet.
The victory lane looks spectacular.
Yeah, the lights are good.
He now has a jumbotron on the backstretch. He's literally wiring lighting up for this track.
Yeah. I feel like we need to take a field trip.
Putting fencing in. Yeah, I'm telling you, he's only in Grand Rapids. It's not that far.
It's
from
not that
us.
far for us. I know.
No. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So good on him. Barron Speedway. Follow him on Instagram and YouTube and whatnot. And he's doing some cool stuff. So with that, I think it's time to close the show out. James, where can they find you on social media if they want to talk to you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. When you're following us on social media, if you want to message James and ask how to clean up after your dog, you can do that.
Oh my God. That's what I came home to today.
Yeah.
It was great.
Our website is thesuperspeedway.com, www.thesuperspeedway.com. You find the podcast on there. We have links to articles we've done, show notes. I don't know. I've just threw a bunch of words together. None of those actually were correct. You can find show notes with links to the articles we've talked about, and you can find articles that we've written about races we've been at, photos, etc. Just check it out.
That was really
TheSuperspeedway.com.
good. That was really good, man.
Yeah,
Good
it's a
job.
disaster. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and SoundCloud.
Rate and review.
Yes, rate and review.
Subscribe.
We need to start just reading reviews. If we start doing that, maybe we'll.
I know we got some good ones.
So we need to start doing reviews, and then we need to come up with some sort of contest that we
and
can
cheat
do.
the algorithm.
Yes.
Subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, unsubscribe
I
again.
don't think I want people to unsubscribe. I'm
Well, no, you hit it a couple of times, and then you subscribe at the end.
I'm afraid that they'll accidentally click it one too many times.
Well, they're probably already unsubscribed.
Right, that's true, especially after tonight. Yeah, I want to come up with a giveaway or something too that we can do. Something, I don't know. It's a really good time for me to come up with a giveaway, to put something together to give to people for free, seeing as I don't even have a house right now.
I mean, stuff's everywhere. Yeah,
Yeah, right?
stuff's everywhere.
We'll figure something out. I want to do something maybe before the end of the season. If you want to become a patron and help out the show, become a patron at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. So we go to Dover this weekend for the Driding 400, where we'll all learn what Driding is, and we'll be back next week to talk about it. So at some point next week, James, I don't know, my week is crazy next week, so
We're getting closer to normal.
yeah, closer to normal. So we'll have a podcast next week some way, come hell or high water. Until then, everybody, let's go racing. Oh my God, this is the worst ending in the history of the universe.
You botched it.
Let's
dude.
try it one more time. Here it is. Let's go racing. God.